Corpse Bride. Red-rimmed eyes and sunken sallow cheeks, a perfect portrait of the agonizing angst writhing beneath. Cracked lips stretched grotesquely in a silent scream, with black oblivion beckoning like a macabre melody. Breathy sighs and shuffling feet orchestrate a post-apocalyptic ambience, the creaking of brittle bones, vehemently blood-curdling. Onwards yet the battered woman slinked, towards a pixelating future uncertain. And so with a disarming smile that barely caressed tinged cheeks or swilling eyes, a trembling gnarled hand rattled the door, when nightfall reigned in peaceful perpetuity on the other side. She had strove to cling to life as faithfully as a virtuous woman held to her husband, but she was misled, betrayed, and shunned. Repeatedly without respite, the mortal blow was swiftly done. The unyielding daylight was remiss to ravage her in its sweltering kiss. So perhaps the tantalizing night would take her in ways both warped and chaste. Yea, the decadent darkness would be her grace, for cruel and selfish was her race, whose notions of love and family were convoluted with the pride and joy of their own vacuous wishes. And the enigmatic invisible that awaited was preferential to the anticipatory pain. To throw in the blood-gorged towel was no easy struggle. The hint of youth still touched her. The generous curves, the tapered legs and thighs, the hair of shining myrrh. But this life had prematurely aged her, drained her dry till only a husk was left. Nothing more of her to be reft. Her heart was in tatters, her mind a mangled mess. Her soul was long since sold, and the world had robbed her of her precious gold. She was wanted by no one, used by everyone. The few who truly cared were gone. She would not mourn. The rats she trusted saw to that, nibbling away at her resolve like a piece of cheese, poisoning her emotions with doom and disease. And she made it fester by fanning the damnable flames. In the end, she herself was to blame. She let them in, let them devour her like a juicy steak, let them prepare her an early grave. Emerging from her short-lived reverie, she yanked the door handle. She could not be happy in this life, and of the living make a fine wife. Nay, but among the dead, she was the quintessential corpse bride. So why did the dark oak door remain stubbornly shut, and the room temperature suddenly surge up sweltering hot? Why did her hammering heart threaten to burst her chest, as beads of glistening perspiration congregated in the valley of her breasts? With a sudden jolt, her monotonous mind roared to life. Her thoughts, a cataclysmic kaleidoscope of images and colors, long forgotten ghosts of former lovers gliding through the mist. Happy ever afters and final chapters never discovered, though the promise of discovery still proved tempting. This thing called love was undeniably masochism, a bottomless abyss of self-imposed imprisonment with no rhyme or reason to the hazardous fall. And so one kept falling and falling and falling, with bashings and broken bones and bleeding. Yet, no matter how gory or brutal the beatings, to relent is not an option for the dangerously delightful descent. She was so very cold. The startling epiphany like a bucket of ice water during a blizzard. She was dead the minute she leapt from the edge, and has been dying since her first despair. This was her choice. No one forced her off the cliff. Even if she did not expect such excruciating languish, she willingly obliged the prophet's spliff, and rode out the high till the bitter end, though that was quickly forgotten in another love-induced haze. Lethal a drug, the sensations rapidly became addicting, even with the lingering effects of cold, caustic heartbreak. There was no moderation to her dosages, and maybe that was the defining factor. Why didn't she let herself heal before offering her pulverized organ in another donor deal? Drawing a deep sigh, the woman retreated a few steps, moistening her lips, cheeks flushed, eyes puffy red, no longer having the appeal of a spectral haunting. The death that loomed beyond did not seem daunting. Whenever the inky black to surface, it would not be brought on by her foolish hand, but hopefully in the natural course of time, she would be swathed in the sweet scent of pine. Head held high, shoulders squared, the young woman boldly bolted the oak door. She would live to conquer another day, even if it meant fending off another heartache. Doing things differently could only yield different results, so if she had to fall, it would be on her terms and her turf. She would stand tall. And if true love proved elusive to the milieu she made conducive, she would simply devise a new dream to chase, instead of crucifying herself for a hopelessly self-serving human race. Giving the dreary door her back, she strode forward and halted, ears ringing abruptly with her heart's frantic palpitating, as her face was bathed in the brightest beam of light. Dazzlingly pure and blinding, it beckoned a warmth that dissolved the insides. As quickly as the flash came, it was gone. But the tinkling notes that otherworldly light hummed reverberated with the promise of an epic love song. And so setting out on her path, the woman twitched a genuine smile, welling all the way up to her eyes and rebounding off her swaying hips and thighs. To think such intrinsic beauty was almost forever lost to a corpse bride.